bringing power into a commercial building. So you'd see conduit or electrical pipe run through the concrete up into an electrical panel like this. The first thing that electrical contractor is going to do is pull the cable now into the panel. They're going to leave some excess cable here. It's better to have too much than not enough. So the first thing they're going to do is take a cable cutting tool to trim the cable down to length so they can then bolt it in. So we have our cable cutting tool here. This will cut up to 750 MCM copper and 1000 MCM aluminum. We also have another cable cutting tool that we recently just launched. This is our ACSR cable cutting tool. You see it here, laser etched into the blade. What ACSR stands for is aluminum cable steel reinforced. So what that means is there's a steel braided cable running through the aluminum cable, and the reason for that is strength and support. So that type of ACSR cable is used in utility companies for power lines. So when you think of this tool, think of power lines. This can cut up to 750 MCM copper, 1000 MCM aluminum, and 1590 MCM ACSR cable, which is all the largest cable that anyone's going to use either in the utility industry or in the commercial construction industry. That's our ACSR cable cutting tool. Once I need to cut my cable, then I need to strip the insulation off of it like you see here, so I can take an electrical connector like this one and place it over the cable. Once I place that over the cable, I'm going to use a crimping tool to crimp that connector onto the cable so it won't come off. And that's going to look something like this. All right? And to do that, I'm going to use one of two different crimping tools. This is a Dieless tool. Okay, and the reason that guys prefer a Dieless tool is I don't have to work with all the little dies. Typically you need a different die for every size cable, so you have to swap them back and forth. They're expensive, they have to make an investment. So guys will like to use Dieless. And the Dieless tool makes a very good crimp. The other option for crimping is our dyed tool. And you say, well, why am I going to use a dyed tool and have to invest in all these dies and swap them out for different sizes of cable? The reason for that is a dyed crimp is going to be your best crimp. And so high-end jobs like hospitals, data centers, government buildings where they can't lose power, they'll actually spec in a dyed crimp. And so both of these tools can crimp anywhere from number 8 all the way up to 750 MCM copper and aluminum cable. Again, pretty much the full gambit of what you'll see in a large commercial building. This is our 12-ton die tool, and it will accept any competitor's U-type dies. So after I crimp my connector on, I'm going to bolt that into an electrical panel. And that's what they call terminating power into a commercial building. So one of the tools we want to highlight is our powered cable stripper. This is the world's first powered cable stripping tool. It's the only one on the market. In the past, what did users use? They would use a knife, right? Either a retractable or fixed blade knife to trim the insulation off the cable. The problem is there were so many injuries, in fact, the IBEW, or International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, has outlawed knives for this application. So a lot of different companies were coming up with different hand tools or power tool accessories that you could chuck up to a drill to remove the insulation off the cable. We came up with a dedicated power tool, and I'll show you how it works and then tell you why we did it. So the first thing you need to do is pick the correct bushing for the size of cable that you need. You see a kit down here with a lot of different bushings for different sizes of cable. I select the correct one. I pull this tab up. It locks in place. Then what I take is set my depth to the correct depth of the insulation I want to move off. Depending on the size of the cable and the type of connector, you need to remove different amounts of insulation. So after I pick my correct depth, I literally just put it on the front of the tool with very little force. I'll push it on, pull the trigger, and I'll strip it off instantly. So that quickly and cleanly, I can strip the insulation off of the cable, and I'm not using a knife. And I can do it to a repeatable depth every single time I do it.
Is the cutter replaceable?
These cutters, yes, these cutters are replaceable. You really shouldn't need to replace the cutter because the insulation is so soft, but if you happen to damage it, you can replace the cutter. They're the exact same for every single size of copper. I mean, for every single bushing. So the benefit of this tool, right, is I'm doing it clean and to the exact same depth every single time, and a worker's no longer holding a knife. It's much more difficult to hurt yourself if you never have to pick up a knife. So you might ask, some of these other manufacturers have different accessories I can chuck into a drill, right? And the accessories going to be lighter, it's going to be smaller, it's going to be cheaper. Why not just use an accessory versus a dedicated power tool? And the reason for that is control. So when you take and you put an accessory into a drill, I can't control the speed. We all know the contractor is going to try to truck into his drill and go as fast as he possibly can, right? So what happens is you start to get spin out and it starts to wobble. And the reason I did this is you will get exactly what this happens here. And that's what I was trying to show you, is you'll grab these strands and mess up the material. And so with a dedicated tool, we can control speed. So it maxes out at 50 RPMs versus a drill you can go up to almost 2,500 RPMs. So we can control the speed, so we control the application. What we've also done is built in an E-clutch or an electronic clutch into the tool. So that if you're going down the cable and it binds up, if you have an accessory that's in a drill, it'll bind up and grab one of these strands. If it grabs a strand, it can break a strand off, at which point you can't use that. You have to cut it off and start over again. Or it's going to bind up, and we heard through research it would start to break the stem off of the accessory. Those accessories can be anywhere from $150 to $450. So that becomes a very expensive paperweight. Or 4 or 3, it binds up, this cable's not going to give, it would whip and hurt the user. And so that built-in E-clutch is going to save the user from that bind-up situation. And that's why we went with a dedicated tool versus an accessory, because you have much better control. This is a Perform and Protect tool. You'll hear a little bit more about Perform and Protect later, but that's a very specific line of tools that have added control, vibration, or dust collection. This is our powered cable stripper.